This is Standing Watch. And now, Evangelist Norbert Link.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. In the last several days, two important summits have taken place involving the United States, which were quite different in spirit and also insofar as the outcome was concerned. I'm talking about the summit between the United States and North Korea in Singapore, and also the summit between the G7 nations in Canada. Now let me begin with the summit in Singapore, and let me read to you from an article by Japan Times, dated June 12, saying this. In a vaguely worded agreement signed at their unprecedented summit Tuesday in Singapore, US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inked what Trump said was a comprehensive document declaring that Kim's regime would work towards the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula while committing to a lasting and stable peace. In exchange, Trump committed to provide security guarantees to Kim, including to halt to joint military exercise. But the agreement offered few specifics about how the two sides would reach those goals, while also leaving complete denuclearization undefined. Trump did note that the US would be halting its war games, adding that this would save the US a tremendous amount of money. He also suggested that South Korea had failed to contribute enough money and said the drills would be inappropriate as the US and North Korea negotiate a new relationship. Now, that announcement caused some very negative reaction, especially in South Korea, but also in the United States. Newsmax wrote on June 12 that President Donald Trump rocked the region with a stunning announcement Tuesday that he was halting annual US-South Korean military drills and wants to remove the 28,500 US troops stationed in the South. The remarks contradicted countless previous declarations by US political and military officials over the years that the drills are routine, defensive, and absolutely critical. Now, we on this program don't go into any political discussions. We don't take any political sides. We are reporting to you what is happening in the light of biblical prophecy. And that summit and what perhaps may come out of it between the United States and North Korea could very well be of tremendous political, prophetic importance, because the Bible talks about ultimately a very powerful collaboration between Far Eastern countries, including China, including Russia, including Japan, and including, as it may very well be, North and South Korea, which would mean that there got to be a much more friendly relationship between North and South Korea and between North Korea and the other neighbors. You see, ultimately, an alienation will take place between those nations and the United States. But at this point, it all looks like Mr. Trump has found a new friend in the North Korean dictator, and I might add, mass murderer. And at the same time, a huge alienation is taking place between the United States of America and its closest allies, including the Europeans, including Canada. And that brings me to the G7 summit in Canada and the events which took place at that time. And you wonder after a while who then is the enemy and who then is the friend of the United States. I'd like to give you just a flavor of the commentaries which we have received all over the world in response to that very ill-received summit, if you please. Of course, the G7 nations who were present were the United States of America, Germany, France, Japan, Canada, Italy, and Britain. And Newsmax wrote on June 9, US trading partners have been furious. I like to just emphasize these wordings, and I want you to listen carefully to how it's being described, how this very close, at one time, relationship between the United States of America and, let's say, European nations is being described now. Because this, my friends, too, is of tremendous biblical and prophetic importance. I've given several programs recently about prophetic events. I spoke about the Third Temple and Netanyahu's announcement of the Third Temple. And people have written me saying, oh, well, thank you very much because you are pointing out some very important prophetic events. What I'm saying right now is equally important because that is also prophesied. An alienation between the United States of America and Europe is prophesied. And it is happening right now as we speak. And it will get worse, not better. Here an article by the Associated Press dated June 10. Insulting the host, alienating allies, and threatening to suspend business with other countries, President Donald Trump was in full trade warrior form. Deutsche Welle wrote on June 9, a deep rift was highlighted. The summit showed the United States was increasingly isolated. Deutsche Welle also wrote on June 10, the French president's office has said there is no place for anger and insults in international cooperation, of course talking about President Trump. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas said on Sunday the US president's tweets had destroyed trust, and Europe should answer by staying even closer together. Germany's Angela Merkel said about EU countermeasures having to do with those tariffs being imposed on European goods, and now they want to have countermeasures. She said, we won't let ourselves be ripped off again and again. The idea is by the United States. Handelsblatt Global wrote on June 10, the failed G7 summit has made it more likely that a trade war between the US and other countries will escalate. Germany is developing a strategy on how to deal with the US because Berlin has lost faith that its current policy of damage control works with the Donald Trump administration. Currently, political strategies only exist for adversaries, such as Russia and China. Now the United States being added as an adversary insofar as Europe is concerned. Notice the EU Observer, dated June 11, in the wake of disastrous G7 summit, where US President Donald Trump all but broke off the Western alliance, the EU should prepare to take over global leadership. Have you ever heard these kind of statements before? Global leadership. Newsmax wrote on June 11, President Donald Trump told French President Emmanuel Macron that the European Union is worse than China on trade during a meeting at the White House in April. The rhetoric has only worsened in the days since. And Emmanuel Macron has warned Mr. Trump, saying, this coming trade war may lead to an outright military war. Are these just words? Are these just empty warnings? My friends, wars start with words. How does Angela Merkel feel about all of this? Der Spiegel Online wrote on June 5, for Merkel, Donald Trump is a man who has turned back the historical clock to 0 hour and casts doubt on everything that has united the West for decades. Merkel is no longer under any illusion. Trump is implementing his campaign promises as if going down a checklist. She feels everything needs to move much faster in Europe and in Germany. During her trips to China, there is always a hint of appreciation for the Chinese government. China is governed from the top down. Something has to happen, Merkel said with concern. And then she went on to explain why nothing could happen. Because her hands are tied by German federalism. But my friends, that will change too. The Bible is very clear. The European Union, and let's say the core European nations, that Europe is two speeds, will evolve into a dictatorship. It will give their power and their authority to a very charismatic economic, political, and military leader. He is called the King of the North, for instance. He is also, of course, called the Beast in the book of Revelation. And that will lead to an outright war, not just a trade war, an outright war between Europe and the United States of America, and that is clearly prophesied in your word, the Bible. You know, it's your word, I said, but I mean it's God's word. It should be your word. It should become part of your being. You should understand what is happening. You should not be one who is ignorant about what is happening. What is happening right now? That G7 summit was not just a coincidental, accidental event without any deeper meaning. It is tremendously important, we understand, that this alienation between the United States of America and Europe in particular will continue, leading to an outright war. Do you understand that? Do you even want to know? Now here's a free book that we have prepared for you. Biblical Prophecy from Now Until Forever. This booklet shows you from the pages of your Bible as to what is going to happen. Don't always take the position like, I don't need to know, I don't care. Because what is going to happen very soon will affect you individually, personally, and your loved ones. It will mean survival in a physical and perhaps even a spiritual sense. Can you really afford not to know? Thank you very much for listening. This is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.
Standing Watch is a presentation by the Church of the Eternal God, P.O. Box 270519, San Diego, California 92198. More information is also available at our website, eternalgod.org.